Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Welcome to the Odds Breakers, number one place for shared, sharp betting information.
Welcome back to podcast 49 of 2026. I'm your host, Kiev O'Neill. You can follow me on X at OBKiev. Follow us at the Oddsbreakers. Follow us on social media / the Oddsbreakers. This episode is being brought to you by FanDuel Sports, a proud partner with the NFL. If you'd like to support the Oddsbreakers and benefit from our premium plays, please visit theoddsbreakers.com. Click shop, become a member, pick any of winning cappers to get the premium plays before the line moves. You can also support us on patreon.com if nothing else. Please visit the Oddsbreakers and become a free Picks and Telegram subscriber. We have a great show for you today. It is our second show of the week, and we have a wonderful guest to talk about the amazing contest over at Circa Sports, as well as a few other locations in Vegas, Matty from footballcontest.com. It is contest season now, my friends, and it's time to get in these wonderful football contests. Before Matty comes on, I'm going to talk about the AFC South. It has definitely changed a lot over the last few years. We also, at the Oddsbreakers, have our football packages up for 2026, 2027. If you are ready to cash with us, we would absolutely love it if you become a member with one of these football packages or our normal monthly membership package. But either way, we're making plays. We've been making college football and NFL plays since April. Some of those numbers have moved in our favor, few away from us, but in general, we're hoping to cash in early on these before they move even farther away from the number that we were able to get by being able to break this stuff down early for you in the year. Otherwise, UFC and Major League Baseball still rolling here at the Odds Breakers. I do not have any big vacations planned until later this year, so it is full steam ahead when it comes to predicting the NFL markets. So, without further ado, I'm going to get into a little AFC South preview. So, the AFC South was a pretty tricky division last year. For example, the Colts were the clear frontrunners until they lost their quarterback, which spun them into complete chaos. The Texans started out the worst, but clearly had the best defense in the NFL, which kept them relevant and boosted them to the wild card spot, as well as 2 games into the playoffs. The Jaguars, at the end of the day, were the best all-around team in the division, but choked their playoff chances away on that last drive against Josh Allen and the Bills. The Titans were once again embarrassed until former coach Mike Vrabel took the heat off them during the offseason and put it right on himself. But for 2026, 2027, I expect some more fight out of this division. And I expect that this division is going to keep getting better. They do play the AFC North and the NFC East for their schedules, which I would probably call pretty medium. Let's dig on in. The odds to win the division are the Texans plus 110, Jaguars plus 245, Colts plus 380, and Titans plus 800 via our friends at FanDuel. Make sure you check out FanDuel and monitor these numbers. The AFC South was not the greatest offense. It wasn't the greatest defense. It was just kind of medium throughout the whole spectrum of these 4 teams. The Jacksonville Jaguars, their Vegas win total this year is 8.5, juiced to the over minus 125. 2025 wins was 13. Pythagorean wins was 11.36. And their win total's only 8.5. That's interesting. Their schedule is medium at large at the Broncos versus the Patriots and at the Bears. But last year's schedule was considered medium hard in that first third of the teams. Key losses: linebacker Devin Lloyd, running back Travis Etienne, cornerback Greg Newsome, safety Andrew Wingard, edge Emmanuel Ogba. Key additions: running back Christian Rodriguez Jr., running back Amir Abdullah, and cornerback Dane Jackson. Key draft picks: tight end Nate Borkirchner, defensive line Albert Regis, guard Emmanuel Pregnon. Summary: going from 4 to 13 wins last year was really a big story. I thought Liam Cohen maybe should have been coach of the year. I'm happy, as I did bet the Jaguars to go over 7.5 wins and to make the playoffs. The problem is they had to face the Bills in the playoffs, which was a very, very strong wild card team. Experience got them at the end of the day. This Jaguars team, though, quietly in the top 5 of my power ratings of how they finished this season. For this year, I'm a little bit worried about a regression, but they can also take a step forward. The Jaguars certainly felt the Travis Hunter draft trade from 2025 when they entered the 2026 draft. They did not have a first-round pick, and they had to get their first guy in the late 50s. I honestly do not know what they're thinking with Hunter. And I guess he's just mainly a cornerback. He comes in every once in a while at receiver. I don't see it much changing this year. But you got a lot of receivers there. Brian Thomas took a big step back from his rookie season in 2024. The Jaguars also lost Trevor's longtime running back in Travis Etienne for free agency. I don't mind that so bad because I believe that Baishul Tutin was a beast. They do lack depth under him, though. The offense should be fine coming from ranking 12th in EPA per play last year. The hope is that they can make another step forward now that Jacoby Myers should be more healthy and Parker Washington was a beast last year at wide receiver. Brenton Strange also was a pretty big player in this offense. The defense, though, they didn't have the money really to keep a bunch of guys. They lost Devin Lloyd, that running linebacker. They lost cornerback Greg Newsome. That could hurt a little bit. They also cheaped out to replace edge Emmanuel Ogba. Not a lot of depth now at edge. You still have 2 really good guys there in Walker and Allen, but you got to be careful with that one. I believe that this defense will have to regress some, ranking 5th in EPA. Let's just hope that the offense gets better to even that out. I really do like Coach Liam Cohen. There's also some consistency with the same offensive and defensive coordinators coming back. The Texans were the number 1 team in fumble luck as they gave away only 3 fumbles. Well, they took 10 away from their opponents. That could regress a little bit. The schedule isn't all that easy. The Broncos at home, then the Patriots and the Bears for their at-large. Actually, sorry, the Broncos are away, I believe. So that's not super easy, but it certainly could be worse if they had to face the Seahawks, somebody like that from the other side of the pond in the NFC. All in all, I like the players and the coaching staff on this team. The Jaguars are going to be top 6 or 7 probably to start the season. Kind of that quiet, good team that the market hates right now. That's the kind of team I like to be on. My projected win total is 10.68. Action that you got to take over 8.5 wins at -125. That's way too low for a team that won 13 games with a high Pythagorean win total of over 11. I also think the Jaguars make the playoffs. I don't know who wins the division this year. +110 to make the playoffs is also a good look.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs?
Next team, We have the Houston Texans. Vegas win total 9.5 juice to the under, -125. So the market likes this team the most. 2025 wins was 12. Pythagorean wins was 10.67. Scheduled medium hard this year. At large versus the Bills, at the Chargers, at the Packers. Woo! That's a little harder than the Jaguars, I think. Schedule last year, medium hard. Key losses. Defensive tackle Tim Settle, wide receiver Christian Kirk, linebacker Christian Harris, safety Jimmy Ward, edge Danico Autry, running back Joe Mixon, defensive tackle Mario Edwards, edge Derek Barnett, defensive tackle Foley Fatukasi, and running back Nick Chubb, who didn't barely play anyway. Key additions, running back David Montgomery, safety Reed Blankenship, tackle Braden Smith, guard Wyatt Teller, defensive tackle Logan Hall, tight end Foster Monroe, linebacker Jake Hummel, edge Dominique Robinson, guard Evan Brown. Key draft picks, guard Keelan Rutledge, defensive tackle Caden McDonald from Ohio State, and tight end Martin Klein, and guard Fabici Nuiwu. The Texans certainly were in the mix at the end of the season and had the best defense in the league next to the Seahawks. The problem is that the offense was putrid. And it all started with the offensive line. The good news for 2026 is that they finally ponied up and signed some dudes that can block, like tackle Braden Smith from the Colts and guard Wyatt Teller from the Browns. At running back, David Montgomery comes in to try to make the running game great again. The issue is that the defense took a small hit in free agency, losing some depth. But I do like the way that this team drafted Caden McDonald from Ohio State to keep the trenches whole. This team could be very, very good if the wide receivers show up. So that is my only issue with this team, as Nico Collins and Tank Dell seem to always be injured. The offense ranked 31st in rush EPA, only 26th in passing success rate. They've retained offensive coordinator Nick Caley, which in my mind has to be a mistake. CJ Stroud, man, he's proven to be an NFL quarterback, but he doesn't get him over the hump for me. They're just going to have to improve more on offense, but they could easily win in the division if they stay healthy. The biggest issue that I have is that the schedule did not do them any favors with the Bills, the Chargers, and the Packers. But the Texans power rated a little under the Jaguars, just a tick under the Jaguars, not by much. 2.75 is their power rating. And I lean over their win total as I have them winning 10.34 games. So lean over the win total. Number 3, the Indianapolis Colts. Vegas win total 7.5, juice to the over, -140. 2025 wins was 8. Pythagorean wins was 9.93. So they really underachieved last year and should have won more. Schedule medium easy, at large, at the Chiefs, at the Vikings, and versus the Dolphins. Schedule last year was hard. Key losses, wide receiver Michael Pittman, edge Kwity Paye, tackle Braden Smith, safety Nick Cross, defensive tackle Neville Gallimore, edge Samson Ebukam, center Danny Pinter, cornerback Kenny Moore, edge Tyquan Lewis. Key additions, edge Michael Clemens, edge Arden Key, linebacker Akeem Davis-Gather, defensive tackle Derek Noddy, and defensive tackle Jerry Tillery. Whom they drafted, linebacker C.J. Allen, safety A.J. Halsey, guard Jalen Farmer, linebacker Bryce Bocher, and edge George Gums Jr. Summary, the Colts were the best team to not make the playoffs with that massive underachieving number of 1.93 games, as they should have won at least 9 according to their Pythagorean win total. But in saying that, it took a bad injury to Daniel Jones. Huge choke down the stretch. 7 of their last games, all 7. That's crazy. I was thinking 7 of their last 8, but no, they lost all 7 of their last games. And I think they only needed like 1 or 2 more wins to get in the playoffs. But in saying that, the Colts had it pretty easy in the year earlier thanks to that cake schedule. Looking at Daniel Jones, he might be ready this year from that Achilles injury, but the offense took a huge hit also by losing Braden Smith in the division and their top wide receiver in Michael Pittman. So I'm worried about that. Alec Pierce proves to take the job over. But, now that he's going to be the number one on a team, things change a lot. A lot of times the two guy moves to another team to be a one, and it never works out because he's actually being more defended now, right? Jonathan Taylor, he's the big, bright, shining spot of this team that was Offensive Player of the Year candidate for most of the season until all the losses happened. But, man, can he relive that great season that he started with last year? Top draft pick, too, Tyler Warren. He kind of faded off when he lost his quarterback last year. Only 4 touchdowns of the season. So I'm concerned about that. I'm also concerned about the defense losing some key edge rushers and a good safety, a few tackles. But the draft will just have to hit, And if the draft hits, they could be in a good position to make another run at it next year. But I'll tell you this, the Sauce Gardner trade has not proven to be good so far. It's still a little early to judge, but right now I'll have to not like what they gave up to get Sauce Gardner from the Jets. The Colts need to get to the quarterback. That's what they do. And they're going to need some big games from their edge rushers. So I'm kind of skeptical that's going to happen. But the good news is that this team does get DeForest Buckner back on that defensive line. He's one of the better ones or best one out there for a while. The 2026 schedule for this team ended up okay. Though they do have a -6 net rest days, which kind of sucks. But if this Colts team can get back to that offense rolling like it was before Danny Dimes got injured, they're going to be fine, and they're going to be in the playoffs. My win total number is 8.97, so basically 9 wins. No action from me, but my Colts power rating, even with Danny Dimes coming back, I still have to put them minus 0.5 below the average. Next and last is the Tennessee Titans. Vegas win total 6.5. 2025 wins was 3. Pythagorean wins 3.87. Schedule medium at large games versus the Jets, at the Lions, and at the Raiders. Schedule last year was medium hard. Key losses, Coach Brian Callahan during the season. Tight end Chig Okonkwo. Edge Arden Key. Defensive tackle Sebastian Joseph. Cornerback Khalil Elam. Guard Kevin Zietler. And safety Xavier Woods. Key additions. Coach Robert Saleh. Offensive coordinator Brian Daboll. Defensive coordinator Gus Bradley. Wide receiver Wandale Robinson. Defensive tackle John Franklin Myers. Cornerback Alante Taylor. Cornerback Cordell Flott. Tight end Daniel Bellinger. Quarterback Mitch Trubisky. Linebacker Jake Martin. Defensive tackle Jordan Elliott. Cornerback Joshua Williams. Center Austin Schlottman. Safety Tony Adams. Key draft picks: wide receiver Carnell Tate. Edge Kendrick Fault. Linebacker Anthony Hill Jr. Guard Fernando Carmona. And running back Nicholas Singleton. Summary. Titans were the second worst team in the league by the numbers, ranking 30th in offensive EPA and 28th on the defense. Big changes have happened now as Robert Saleh is brought to try to set things right. Let's start with the offense. I see some improvement looming as Cam Ward enters his sophomore season. Drafting Carnell Tate should help, even though I thought he was overdrafted. Wandale Robinson was a nice pickup for the slot. My problem is that this offensive line is still much less than par, which will make it really rough on the skill guys to get open. This offensive line ranked dead 32nd in many offensive line rankings for 2025. That's pretty bad. They didn't do quite enough to fix that. Brought in some defensive dudes. Nothing big on the offense. I don't understand that. So, Brian Daboll, being an offensive coordinator, needs an offensive line to even have a chance, in my opinion. You know, he developed a lot of mojo back when he was at the Bills, but all that's been erased since his time with the Giants. And we saw that with Daniel Jones after he left the Giants, smoking it with the Colts. Calvin Ridley is also going to need to be pretty motivated, as he's kind of like in the twilight of his career. From the defensive side of the ball, I do love all the moves. Robert Saleh chose to fix that first, but most money was spent on that side of the ball. The interior defensive line will be upgraded along with the secondary. The edge rushers and linebackers, though, may still be a work in progress. I think this team will play slow and not make many mistakes. Unders may be the way to bet this team. If the offensive line does develop into what is actually average or something, then this could be an average team or a little bit better. But for now, I can only rate them -6 points worse than the average team. They're not the worst team in the league, like they were one of the 2 worst teams last year, but they're pretty bad. My number for wins is 6.44, so I'm a little bit over their 5.5. Their Vegas win total is 6.5, but definitely over what they did last year. But 6.44 and a -6 is my power rating, -6 points worse than the average team. So I lean under their win total. And I think I'm being actually kind of generous starting them out at -6. So as you have it, our best bet, Jaguars over 8.5 wins at -125, and another bet to make the playoffs at +110. So that's what I'm thinking about this division. It would not shock me if the Colts win this division. It would not shock me if the Jaguars do it again or the Texans do it. It'd be a little bit shocked if the Titans do it, but we've seen that happen before. Unfortunately, like I said, with the Titans, they still have to play the Lions and a medium-type schedule. So there you have it. Let's now talk a little circa contest, a little football contest with our best proxy in all of Las Vegas in footballcontest.com's Vegas Matty. $30 million in guaranteed prizes. Cash in this football season in Las Vegas with 3 Circa Sports contest entries starting at $1,000, all with no rake. Circa Million, 18 weeks of point spread action, 128 ways to win. Circa Survivor, pick one winner each week, last one standing wins. And Circa Grandissimo with $100,000 entry in over $4 million in guaranteed prizes. Enter in Nevada, play from anywhere. $30 million guaranteed. Visit circasports.com for details. Now I'm very excited to welcome back the top proxy in all of Las Vegas from footballcontest.com, Mr. Vegas Matty. You can follow Matty on X at Vegas_Matty. This segment is brought to you by Circa Sports, the best and biggest football contest in all the land. Please visit circasports.com/contest for $30 million in guaranteed prizes. Get in Circa Millions, Survivor, and Grandissimo. Enter in Nevada, play from anywhere. Welcome back, Matty. It is contest season already here at the Odds Breakers, man, because that's what we love to talk about. But before we get into some questions, what did you do in the offseason? I'm curious what Vegas Matty did for all those months.
Oh, that's a good question. What did I do? Just spent time with the family. I've got a daughter. She had to wait. I had to wait till she got out of school to really take any vacations or wait till she's on spring break, all that good stuff. Tony's the one who gets to globetrot and travel all over. She went to Australia, Florida. Trying to think of where else. Wow. Costa Rica. She might have swung that in there too, but yeah, she's the one I kind of live vicariously through her with her vacations. But it's all good. I mean, we're always thinking as soon as the season's over, what can we do better for the next season? And you make some tweaks and try to make it as easy as possible for you guys to submit your picks to us for the next season.
That's very true. And, that's what it's all about. And why don't you, now that's a perfect segue into letting our new listeners what you guys do over at Football Contest.
Yeah, So we run, we've got the longest running proxy service. Been doing this for over 20 years now. My partner Tony and Law and myself. So we started off, I think, somewhere around like 2005 with the Super Contest when that was the only game in town, and Circa has, of course, since come on the scene and dominated the Las Vegas football contest landscape. So, yeah, they've got the Survivor contest, the Grandissimo, which is the $100,000 Survivor contest, and
Enter for 100,000 is what he means. It's actually 4 million plus.
What's that? Oh yeah, well that's $100,000 entry fee. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, the contest at Circa, the Survivor, the Million, which is a pick 5 contest, $1,000 per entry, and then the Grandissimo's $100,000 entry fee, but you can win at least a guaranteed $4 million. Last year it was $6.9 million because they got 69 entries in there at $100,000 a pop. But yeah, so what we do is footballcontest.com is really like a one-stop shop for all the Las Vegas football contests. So if you're interested in learning more about them, just go there. You can read up on them, get the rules, see what you're up against in terms of other competitors. You'll kind of see that the Westgate is a different animal. The Super Contest is different in terms of some of their pricing, but then also they do not have a guaranteed prize pool. So you're just basically going with the number of people that end up signing up. That determines the prize pool. And then you want to find out about our proxy service. You can find out pricing, kind of what different deadlines we offer. We do offer the latest deadline for Circa at 1 p.m. Pacific time every Saturday. And then you just reach out to us. My phone number is right on there. You can reach us out to us via email, proxy@footballcontestproxy.com. Set up an appointment for us to meet. We're there just about every day, mostly mornings. But as August draws closer, we'll be there every day, most of the day, until the deadline, which I believe is September 7th at 2 p.m. or 2 p.m. I think for Circa. Does that sound right?
For Circa Millions.
Actually, September 7th is a Monday. That's Labor Day. So I confused that.
September 12th is the Saturday, I believe.
Yeah. So
So it's the 12th at, I think signups stop at 2 p.m. like you mentioned.
2 p.m. Yeah, that's what I meant. So September 12th. And then September 7th is in my mind because that is the last day that we honor any discount codes. So we are happy to offer one through you guys this year. Promo code OB when you go to proxy.footballcontest.com, plug that in, and you'll save $50 off your proxy service. So that is something that you want to keep in mind, and that does expire midnight on September 7th. So Labor Day is really the last day to take advantage of that.
That's a great code, $50, and that's all new and returning guests. So if you have been in there, Vegas, Matty, and Tony over there are going to give you $50 off your proxy fees anyways. Use the promo code OB to do that. So we'll have to remember that and mention it a few more times this summer. But here we are, contest season. You mentioned the Circa. What's the differences from last year? What kind of changes do we have?
Not much. Really, the only difference is that the Million contest, which they're trying to finally get over the hump with the $6 million prize pool, there is that Derek doesn't want to come out of his pocket anymore. So I think this is the last 4 years he's had to come out of his pocket because he thought he could get to 6,000 entries in there. He's fallen short. So he increased the max number of entries from 5 to 10. So people can sign up 10 times for that contest in hopes of hopefully getting him over the hump there so that they get it over 6,000 entries. So that's really like the only major change. Everything else is pretty much the same as far as the Million contest goes.
Right, but we have a bigger guarantee now this year, don't we? Because now Grandissimo blew everybody away. I could not believe there was, 69 entries, something like that last year,
Yep.
which makes $6.9 million for this. There's a lot of people chopping. There was obviously the Millions, or the Survivor blew away I think it was like a 15 or 16 million guarantee.
15 million last year, yeah, and they went
20.
We're trying to get to 20 million, but got to 18.7 for the guaranteed prize pool in that last year. Or that ended up being the prize pool. And then this year, Derek increased that to $20 million. So a little conservative maybe, but yeah, I mean, I think he'll have no problem hitting that. 25 might have been a little bit too aggressive. So yeah, it's kind of hard to say like what the numbers are going to be this year. But I think all the contests they will hit the numbers to avoid any overlays, just because of where everything is trending. I mean, the Grandissimo already like surpassed that by a ton last year, so it would be a disappointment if they got less than like 70 entries in there.
I think so too, but also I think they're going to get there. You know, it's the prestige really that you love about these things. And you know what? They also made it so you can only get 10 shares, I believe, from getting into these things.
That is a change as well. Yeah. So if you do team up with some people with any of the entries, you can only put up to 10 people on the form to cash out with. So, and for people who are not familiar with that, it's part of the tax form, and you can allot like a percentage to different team members so that everyone's kind of got their piece of the pie. And I know there was some issues with like, you know, tons of people being on one winning entry, and that's just a headache for Circa as well, because they have to process all of that. So that's going to keep things a little bit more under control, and it'll be interesting to see if that reins it in, if there's more entries because those people are signing up for more, or how it's going to turn out exactly.
Yeah, you know, it's to tell everybody, if people were selling shares and just tons of shares of their, you know, situation, if there's only like 50 people left, the intrinsic value of it is, you know, 300,000, 500,000, whatever it is, and in that case, people are selling shares of their ticket, and they want Circa to pay them directly so they avoid the tax man, so it only gets taxed once, rather than, you know, having the person get the tax and then having to report it on your statement again. So that's been a big headache for Circa, which they're correctly getting rid of that. You know, obviously, you can figure out the taxes on your own, but that's just like buying a lottery ticket. You know, it's like if you buy a lottery ticket, you got to pay taxes. It's the same old thing, and that's never going away. But either way, Circa wants to
make
good
problem to have, as I like to say.
It's a damn good problem to have. Yeah, absolutely. You want to be in that situation, right? What makes Circa Sports contests more special than any other contest in the nation?
Really, it's just the guaranteed prize pools. When Derek decided to do that in 2019 when he opened the Circa Sports brand, that was kind of what set it apart from the Westgate and what they were doing over there with the Super Contest, which, as I mentioned before, the Super Contest, all their money, which is pooled together, comes from the number of entries. Derek wanted to make sure that there was a guaranteed prize pool and then 100% payback, so he's not taking a rake or anything like that. Westgate briefly took a rake and got rid of that as soon as they found out Circa was getting rid of it. They didn't want to be the contest to do that. So, yeah, so Derek's just trying to be as fair as possible with all that stuff, and kudos to him. He does a tremendous job bringing the business in there, and that's really what the football contest is for. I mean, they're not making a penny on it outside of what you are paying when you step into that property. So when you go down to Circa Resort and Casino and sign up, you know, buy some drinks, stay in a room there, check out Stadium Swim, all that good stuff, because that's really how Circa is making money on the contests.
Well, yeah, and look at it this way: there's no rake, and you're going to go have fun anyway. You want a vacation? You're going to go spend money. You're going to buy drinks. You're going to stay somewhere, right? So it's just
let's be honest. And let's be honest, Circa is the only real place you want to be downtown.
Yeah,
you know,
it is.
You might wander around. I mean, the Nuggets not so bad, I guess, but the properties downtown, Circa definitely stands tall, as you'll see when you're heading down there, and rightfully so, because that is the place to be downtown.
And the rate gets a lot smaller if you're getting 10 entries, right? Because you fly in, it just makes it that much smaller, because the rake hits you on every single for these other contests, as well as there's some fraudsters out there. But what's really unique is, like, to me, is like the prestige of winning, how Derek treats you, how you have you're invited back every year for free, staying for free, with a big dinner, with a blue jacket, you know, those kind of things. The way that you're treated and looked at, it's like winning the Live Golf compared to the FedEx Cup, you know, compared to PGA, right? It's like I'd rather win the FedEx Cup all day in the PGA over live. So it's just that's really what it is to me. What happens then? In mention it, I guess we can mention it this way. I wouldn't be as nice as Derek. If it was me, I would play less people and give more money away. Like instead of 128 ways to win, I might give a little bit more to first place, 1.5 million or 2. Wink, wink. Maybe we could see something like that in the future. But I think the format's still great because the great thing about Millions that's different than Survivor is that you're never out. You're always in it at least until week 17, week 16, when you're still playing for that quarterly at the very end. Because I think that's huge.
In fact, I had a client who I signed up today down at Circa who was in the Survivor contest last year, and he switched it up and did the million just because he wanted the feeling of being alive all season and having something to play for instead of getting knocked out early, like maybe that first month, and you're pretty much done if that $1,000 is down the toilet. So
I know how it
at
is.
least you have something to play for. You've got the booby prize, which is always fun to go for $100,000 on the line for that if you finish dead last. And then you got the quarterlies as well, which are, a nice chunk of change. I mean, we've had a lot of people that have won prize money in that over the years. Your buddy Chris Farley, our friend, he did very well in a quarter. I want to say he went like 19-1. And took that down.
I think he went 24-1. I think it was a 5-week.
Was it 24?
It might have been something that crazy. He had a tough start, unfortunately, but
it was remarkable. And this is a guy too who cashed in the top 5 overall a few years earlier. So, Chris for
in Las Vegas,
Farley,
Chris took second and third in the same year, and his third place one. Was like in almost dead last after week 4, and he just made some crazy push comeback. So you're never, like I said, you're never even out of like the money after week 4. You can still literally get there, which is so fun and to think about. Let's talk about a potential overlay then. Sometimes that happens in Millions. Maybe making it 10, it won't. What overlay means is that's just more positive EV because Derek was really paying money out of his pocket, wasn't he?
Yeah. So last year, I believe it was like $315,000 that he came out of pocket. So in order to hit that number, they need 6,000 entries to have like the full $6 million guaranteed, where Derek is not coming out of his pocket. So that's kind of the key there. So to be able to do that, got to hit that number, and that's why he feels like raising it from 5 to 10 for the max entries. Maybe he'll get some people that end up doing the max, because there's only a certain number of max people every year, and it's not a ton of people, but like if like half those people that did 5 last year do 10, that could be all they need to get it over 6,000 this year. You know what I mean? So it just depends on how that's going to take. You might have people that look at Survivor and they're like, I'm not going to throw my money away when there's 20,000 entries in there. I'll just give it a shot with the million this year and see what happens, like that gentleman I spoke to earlier. So, I mean, there's definitely potential for them to get over the 6,000. I do think they'll finally get over the hump this year, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
And all the contests are going to like go over the entry total, I believe. I don't think there's going to be any overlay this year.
Well, there you go. Then we can up it for the next year. So what about college? You sounds like you do some college contests over there, as I know you did last year. I was kind of waiting on that and bugging you, and I for some reason I had in my head that the signups were June 1st in college contests, but you corrected me and said it was July 1st.
Yeah, just the Super Contest is at the Westgate currently. There's some news broke a couple months ago about Caesars acquiring that space, so they are going through a transition over there. So the news has kind of leaked out slowly about plans moving forward, and what I was told is it's going to be business as usual this year for their contest. So everything's going to stay the same. They did a college contest that had over 1,000 entries, $500 entry fee last year, and you could you make 7 picks every week. and that goes. I think it's was it a 12-week contest, 14-week contest? Yeah, I think it was 14 weeks. But it's a good contest. I mean, it's the only college contest in town, to be honest. The Golden Nugget had one for years. They no longer have it as of last year. So the Westgate kind of jumped in and offered the college contest, and it was great. It had more entries than the Super Contest. So they also offer a $5,000 Survivor contest over there per entry, and then a $5,000 the Super Contest Gold, which is a pick 5 contest similar to the Super Contest and the Circa Million, but it's a winner take all. So they normally get like between 300 and 400 entries in there, and yeah,
3 to 4 million
wins takes on the whole thing.
Or wait,
well,
no, that's
really,
grandissimo. It's probably like $1 million, yeah, something like that. Something like 500,000 to $1 million.
The gold is normally like 300,000 to 400,000,
Yeah.
or somewhere around that range. But yeah, they typically only. I think I misspoke on the number of entries. They normally have, I want to say like around like 150, something like that.
Okay, so that times 5,000 would be roughly 500 grand. Then if it's a $5,000 entry, 100,000 or 100 entries.
Yeah, I'm actually way off. I think it was like it's been less than 100 the last few years. So now that I'm doing the math, I'm like, hold on. Yeah, because we had a guy who won it. He had like I think he won a little over 400,000 a few years ago, and then I think it's been like 360, 340, somewhere around there. So when you do the math on that, that's a lot less entries than what I thought. So that's about 80 entries, 70, 80 entries. So for people who are a little scared off by the Circa Million, even and competing against 6,000 entries, if you want to just pony up and put all the money in the gold contest, you got a shot. You gotta win it, but you'll win the whole thing. And it's typically a little lower winning percentage to take that one.
Oh yeah,
but it depends. I mean, there's a lot of sharp guys in that contest as well. So, but yeah, it's a very small field. A lot of people like to do that just because it is a limited field, and you don't have to worry about competing against like thousands of people.
What time are the contest entries due for Circa and then for Westgate?
Okay, so for our deadlines, we have a 1 p.m. Pacific deadline for the Circa contests, and then it's 3 p.m. Pacific time for Westgate. So there's an extra.
And those are hours. And those are on Saturday for the extended.
Yeah, Saturday we do have like an economy proxy service that's a little cheaper with the same deadlines the previous day on Friday. So some people, as soon as we put those lines up on our website, because that's what we'll do. We have a secure website like portal where you'll enter a username and password to log in every week. As soon as those lines come out for Circa, like Thursday morning, by 11 a.m. Pacific time, we've got guys already making their picks. Even if they don't have the Thursday game, they're just ready to roll and get them in. So there's different people. Some people like to wait till the last minute and see what those late breaking injury reports are looking like before they put their picks in. And some people know really like Sunday night, as soon as the opening lines come out for the following week, they're ready to make their picks at that point. So we wait a little bit until we put the lines up, because we can't put them up until Circa has their official lines up on Thursday morning. So, I mean, those are our deadlines. Our Saturday deadlines, I believe, are later than any proxy service, and I think it makes a difference.
Absolutely, man. And, I would normally ask you or ask our viewers to sign up with you and ask you to put where to sign up. But now that we have promo code OB for $50 off, I am going to put the sign up right in this podcast description. So check out this podcast description. Just click on the link and it's going to take you right to footballcontest.com. Use the promo code OB for $50 off. Matty, thanks so much for coming on and breaking down contest season. We'll have you on a little bit later this year. I'll definitely see you contest weekend. But in the meantime, best of luck on getting all those entries in from all these contestants.
Yeah, and I did want to mention too, with the Survivor contest, we are again offering like the kind of money back credit if you get knocked out the first 3 weeks. So that was kind of popular last year. So if you get knocked out in week 1 of Survivor, we'll give you 50% of your proxy fee back to use as a credit for the following year. And if it's week 2, we'll give you 40% back. And then week 3 is 30% back. So that's kind of something that we came up with to differentiate ourselves as well, just because we felt bad for all those people who paid us proxy fees and then they got knocked out the first week. They didn't really get what they paid for. So it's kind of a way to give something back and get you guys locked in for the following year as well.
What a wonderful idea. And that just makes it even better to keep coming to footballcontest.com. All right, Matty, thanks a lot. We'll be texting.
Take care.
Want to become a better? Want to get on a path to handicapping professionally? Start by tracking every pick with full transparency using the Odds Breakers partnered with TallySight. These platforms verify your record, grade every play, and showcase long-term performance so you can build real credibility, not just screenshots and hindsight claims. If you're serious about leveling up, proving your edge, and establishing yourself as a professional handicapper, this is where your reputation begins. Just go to theoddsbreakers.com and click on live odds/pick tracking to get started. Join us in your handicapping journey. All right, to recap, we're taking the Jaguars over 8.5 wins minus 125 for our best bet and to make the playoffs at plus 110. My friends, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Make sure you check out footballcontest.com and use the promo code OB to get that discount off your proxy fees. We'll see you over at Circle. In the meantime, I hope you win all of your plays this weekend. Enjoy all of the games and go get some winners.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.